A very good evening and thank you for joining me for RTV News in English. My name is William Evans, but of course first, the headlines. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has today concluded his three-day state visit to Rwanda. Still, President of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, together with his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame, took part in a mass sports activity. On the international scene, we take you inside Pixelmondo, the VFX powerhouse behind Star Trek and House of the Dragon, who unveiled world cutting-edge studios in Canada. Many thanks for having you join us. Now this is the news in detail. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has concluded his three-day state visit to Rwanda, which has strengthened bilateral relations through several cooperation agreements signed between the two countries. Adam Zukwizera has the report.
President Faye's visit, which began on Friday, included several key activities. On the second day, he visited the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where he paid tribute to over 250,000 victims of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi, laid to rest there. He was taken through the history of the genocide against Tutsi, from its preparation and execution to its end, and Rwanda's remarkable journey of rebuilding the nation. Later, President Faye was received by his Rwandan counterpart President Paul Kagame at Village Rugwiro. The two heads of state held a tete-a-tete that was followed by the signing of the cooperation agreements in various sectors, including visa facilitation, health, agriculture, correction services, and the Vision 2050. Highlighting the significance of these agreements, President Faye underscored the need to expand cooperation into other sectors.
However, the economic and trade relations are not yet at the level of the stronger political and diplomatic ties we have established. The legal framework remains limited and trade exchanges are still very low. But I'm convinced that we can do much more in areas such as agriculture, education, health, the digital economy, air transport, fish farming, urban development, culture and sports.
L'aménagement urbain, la culture et le sport.
President Faye also visited Irembo, where he held discussions with its management on digital transformation partnerships. He later met with officials from RDP and the Ministry of Sports to explore cooperation in promoting sport tourism. Based on these engagements, President Faye emphasized the collaboration among the African nations, that it can yield remarkable progress.
Et l'ensemble des Africains doivent se sentir concernés.
African unity must be valued. That is why I thank the Minister for agreeing to support us as we prepare the Olympics Games. We have already launched the Kick-Off 1 Year to Go campaign, which will go on until October 31st, 2026, as part of our preparation.
Qui a été le fruit d'une compétition.
President Paul Kagame highlighted that meaningful transformation is achieved through collaboration and empowering citizens' principles that both Rwanda and Senegal share.
We also share the vision of a self-reliant, united continent, guided by accountable governance and inclusive development. In Rwanda, we have learned that transformation is possible through unity, strong institutions, and empowering citizens to contribute fully. Above all, it requires a clear sense of purpose and effective implementation. These lessons shape how we approach development domestically and in our partnerships.
At the end of his visit to Rwanda, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye shared a message on his official X account describing this visit as fruitful, as he also joined President Paul Kagame and Rwandans for the Kafri Day.
My state visit to Rwanda concludes under the banner of fraternity and cooperation. I thank President Paul Kagame, his government, and the Rwandan people for the warm welcome and the gestures of attention shown to us. Rwanda offers an inspiring example of resilience and transformation in the service of development, which we salute with respect and admiration. Our two nations are moving together towards a sovereign and innovative Africa.
President Bassirou Diomaye Faye's visit to Rwanda came at the invitation of President Paul Kagame, who had also visited Senegal in May last year. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adam Squizera. Now, before concluding his visit to Rwanda, the President of Senegal, Bassirou Diomaye Faye, together with his Rwandan counterpart Paul Kagame, took part in the mass sports activity held on Sunday, which he said marked the end of his visit with a symbol of brotherhood. President Paul Kagame of Rwanda and Bassirou Diomaye Faye of Senegal began the sports activity at the BK Arena at Remera here in Kigali City, joining thousands of residents for the bi-monthly mass sports exercise aimed at promoting health living and environmental sustainability. The two heads of state completed the sports activity at the Kigali Convention Center. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, through his X account, said that ending his visit with this activity was a symbol of brotherhood and partnership. The sports event featured various physical exercises, including stretching, weightlifting, cycling, aerobics exercises, with music and dancing sessions designed to relax the body. And the Minister of Local Government, Dominique Habimana, used the occasion to commend those who participated. During the event, messages were also shared about the prevention of vaccine-preventable diseases, including polio, where one person who suffered from polio shared how it affected him and how he has managed to overcome its effects while contributing to national development. The head of the National Immunization Program, Hassan Siwamana, noted that polio was last detected in Rwanda in 1993. World Polio Day is marked every year on October 24th, where Rwandans were urged to ensure children received all vaccines, which are provided free of charge. Other messages delivered included encouraging hygiene and environmental protection through tree planting, as emphasized by the Minister of Local Governance. Other leaders, including the Mayor of Kigali, district mayors, and provincial governors, also attended Sunday's Car-Free Day activities. To more news, the leaders of the RPF Inkotanyi party from provinces, the city of Kigali, and all districts have met in a consultative meeting. The vice chairperson of the party, Konsole Uwimana, chaired the meeting where participants discussed issues related to hygiene and sanitation that continue to be observed in various parts of the country and agreed on measures to further address these challenges. Young Africans who are innovating and refurbishing products for resale within the continent's market are calling for easier access to recognize quality certification and standards across Africa. They say that this would boost their trade and align with the commitments made in the recently signed Kigali Agreement during the International Organization for Standardization meeting hosted in Rwanda. We do have details to this report. Globally, around 92 million tons of clothing are discarded every year because they become worn out and unwearable. Much of it ends up in landfills or waterways. Rwasiwanshuti, fond of Mezo in Hindi, a fashion house, said that since 2022, they have refurbished over 400 old garments and plan to increase that number to about 3,000 annually over the next 3 years.
Urebye nk'uyu mwenda wahinduwe n'ibishishwa bya beterave.
If you look at like this particular cloth, we refurbished it using beetroot peelings, even when we added some organic products that do not contaminate the environment. It was stained white that we've changed. Even the shirt I'm putting on was also refurbished using onion rings. Beyond clothing, several African countries are also tackling the challenge of paper waste. In Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, since 2019, about 3,500 women have collected 4,000 tons of used paper, transforming it into jewelry, handbags, and other products worth an estimated 40 million Ethiopian birr sold in the local markets.
This product is a basket product for your trash products, or you can also use as a gift package for the gift package products. It's made from the newspaper. It is crafted by Ethiopian crafting culture. It is also waterproof. It is durable. It is strong. As you might think, since it is made from paper, you might think it's not durable, but it is durable because it has water resistance. It's also strong.
In the same city, another group of young innovators has introduced 70 types of vehicle spare parts, providing jobs to around 260 people who collect and process 30 tons of animal bones, which they grind to replace asbestos used in brake pads, thereby helping to prevent respiratory illnesses and cancers linked to asbestos exposure.
We are trying to be one of the best suppliers for such kinds of market, but it is not enough. Because of the resource, the availability of the resource, it is not enough. It is not enough market. We have we have more extra plans to expand in Africa or something.
These young entrepreneurs say their businesses face significant barriers when trying to access African markets under the African Continental Free Trade Area, mainly due to the lack of continentally recognized quality standards and certification. Aaron Nebeyu, an entrepreneur recycling old electric materials into batteries, solar devices, and other products, shares similar frustrations.
One of the biggest issues that I can tell you about the standards here in Ethiopia is because we use second life batteries and refurbished batteries to build and assemble our big energy storages. And we tried to send it in for quality control at the Ethiopian Conformity Assessment, but they don't give certificates to Second Life electronics or refurbished systems. They did test the product for us. They did give us a test report, but we couldn't get a certificate for the batteries. Yeah, so that's actually one of the biggest challenges that we have stumbled upon here in Ethiopia with getting it quality certified.
Nadine Omutoni, project coordinator at the African Organization for Standardization, explains Rwanda's progress and current efforts in issuing quality marks and compliance certificates.
In Rwanda, we have identified a good number of SMEs, and we have engaged the RSB, which is our member, our active member, and RSB is also in the process of being accredited against the ECOMA so that they can be doing the certification directly, because like the Milcolin was certified by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, meaning RISB by then was not having the capacity to certify. Now it is going to change because they are going to be now accredited to have that capacity of certifying.
Clem Ogolj, economic advisor at Securium Africa, emphasizes that harmonizing standards and certification systems across Africa is vital for the success of the continent's single market and for promoting sustainable trade.
So once we have the standards for the products, it then creates, the confidence for the market to use them. Now, at a regional level, it's important to have these standards harmonized and create a common standard for the continent. Because if you begin to have fragmented standards at national levels, it means that we would not be able to create a regional market for these products. Okay, and so the idea of leveraging the regional trade to be able to drive progress in the circular economy space will then not be achieved. So having one common standard does a lot of things, for the regional economy. First and foremost, it widens the market for producers. Okay, that means I can produce in any country and be able to sell in any country, knowing that it's a common standard across the region. It also helps to create regional value chains. What it then means is that producers can then expand their scale, which is very important, because the bigger the scale, the more economies of scale there can be, and of course the cheaper the prices ultimately, and then the more competitive African producers can be. So I think standards are very important, in creating all of these benefits that we've talked about.
The International Organization for Standardization and the African Organization for Standardization has signed a landmark cooperation agreement known as the Kigali Agreement, aimed at strengthening collaboration and promoting the adoption and implementation of quality standards across Africa. The agreement was signed during the ISO annual meeting held in Kigali from October 6 to 10th, marking a major step forward in advancing quality infrastructure and sustainable trade on the continent. Let's now look at a report by the National Human Rights Commission that indicates that the presidential and parliamentary elections held July 15, 2024 were organized and conducted in full respect of human rights. Take a look. Sheikh Swaib, a resident of Nyamirambo sector in Nyarugenge district, says the recent presidential and parliamentary elections were well organized, commending the special attention given to persons with disabilities, the elderly, and other vulnerable groups. It was a wedding. I cast my vote in Nyamirambo at Nyarugarama. The elderly there were given special care so they could cast their vote. After, they would live in an orderly manner. Similar testimonies were echoed by several people with disabilities and senior citizens who said that the facilitation provided during the elections gave them an equal opportunity to choose their leaders freely. I thought I would line up like everyone else, but I didn't. As someone with disabilities, I was supported and the process was easy. I entered and voted. Upon arrival, I was led into a voting booth and cast my vote among the very first people. Beyond that, we have our children in schools. We also have benefited from Girinka. We've been built houses and a lot more. President Paul Kagame's miracles are countless. In the 2024-2025 annual activity report of the National Human Rights Commission, its chairperson Providence Murungi explained that their monitoring during the presidential, parliamentary and senatorial elections found that the rights of citizens were respected, particularly those with disabilities and others in vulnerable conditions. Be it candidates who were seeking office or their voters, none had their rights abused or violated. The Commission appreciated seeing that people with disabilities were supported in a special way and allowed to vote. The observance of human rights throughout the election period contributed to the smooth and successful conclusion of the process. Let's now take a short commercial break and return with more international news.
Every journey has a beginning. From nature comes refreshing fruity goodness that keeps you going every day. With every pack complementing life's best moments. Not one, not two, but 5 different fruity flavors. And this journey keeps giving. Introducing Inyange's new fruity juice flavors, guava and cocktail. Now available at your nearest shop. Always ask for Inyange.
Nyiri muto arababwiraga data bati ntabwo agira umukamo mwinshi utunze inka imwe, ariko nigeze acika intege. Mama akinjira mu bucuruzi harabamubwiraga bati ntabwo watera imbere udakorera mu iduka rigezweho, ariko ntibyamusubije inyuma yakoranaga umwete. Njya muri kaminuza harabanshidikanyagaho bavuga ko nashobora kaminuza naturuka mu muryango wifashisha, ariko byaragiye nanditse amateka mashya. Igihe cyo gutera ishema umuryango wanjye kigeze, bamwe bakomeje kumbwira bati ntabwo watera umuryango wawe ibyishimo n'ishema, ariko narabishoboye. Hari abakekaga ko nasigira umurage ukomeye abankomokaho, ariko ubu mfite uruganda rutunganya amata. Banki ya Kigali yabaye umufatanyabikorwa wanjye mu rugendo rwose, inzozi zanjye zibimamo. Bigereho.
This tote pays 3 salaries. This book keeps 2 children in school. This cream supports 5 households. Every product creates a job.
AfriQuality. Buy African, build Africa.
Welcome back from that short break. Let's now go to Canada, where Pixomondo, the virtual effects studio, known for its works on blockbusters like Star Trek and House of Dragon, has opened a new high-tech facility. BBC News went behind the scene to see how their latest virtual production technology is revolutionizing the way movies' car stunts are filmed, making them safer, more realistic, and more immersive than ever before. Take a look.
Got any idea how long you've been on this case, Marty? Months.
Are you ever watching a movie with a driving scene in it, thinking, that doesn't look very convincing? Well, this film studio wants to change that. We're behind the scenes at Pixamondo, the visual effects studio behind Star Trek and House of the Dragon. They are experts in virtual production, and they've just deployed the latest tech to make what's on our screens even more realistic.
I always try and look out to see, so I can tell which ones are using the technology or not. But generally, yeah, the general public, you wouldn't be able to tell.
The new studio combines state-of-the-art graphic controls with a robotic platform capable of recreating every bump and even spin from the road.
Traditional driving scenes would have been done a couple of ways, but essentially it could be green screen would be kind of the previous version. But the difficulties with green screen is you don't get the light reflection, or you get a bounce of green onto your vehicle.
Some scenes might also be filmed on location.
It's a way that's been less used because you've got insurance. You don't necessarily want to put your world-famous actor on the streets. I'm going to have to pay a lot of money to shut down a street. So that's why LED volumes like this are becoming a lot more used and common.
Central to this is the platform. What does that allow you to do?
Pretty much every part of the motion of this platform is fully customizable, and I can make edits on the fly super quickly. So the director can come over to me and say, hey, I just want to add a little jerk here or an extra bump there, and in a few clicks of a button I can do that. It's so cool. Right now our limitation for rotation is 8 full rotations, but we're waiting on a part that's going to enable unlimited, which is super exciting because there's no other motion platform that can do that.
If your car's rotating 8 times, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. That's another really cool feature of this rig, is that we can put other vehicles on here too, like helicopters, boats, planes. So those rotations are also super useful for a helicopter spinning out or other unique cases like that.
Can I take the car for a spin?
Yeah, of course. Jump in.
Thanks.
3, 2, 1, action.
This is a journey.
I promise this isn't how I drive. Okay, I might not be the best at acting, but the movement of the platform allows the professionals to react and give a better performance.
I find that especially the suspension control really allows the actors to react to the car instead of other way around. They're not having to fake as much.
The platform is just one part of the innovation here. The 3D graphics shown on these huge LED panels give the director even more control.
Because it's a game engine, you can control anything, essentially. So you can move the sun position throughout the day, you can have the traffic lights on triggers, you can tell it how many cars you want to have in the scene, you can have everything built into a slider. So you can say, hey, I need a lot more pedestrians on the street, so it's a lot more directable, so your content becomes your own. With the 3D scene, yeah, you can change the speed the car moves at, you can really kind of keep the path directable.
One of the biggest secrets to successfully making us think this was filmed outside on the road is reflections. The LED walls around the studio are all able to move.
They're actually kind of hovercraft walls. So we've built them in a way that they're on air casters. So what we do is we can pump them full of air, and then they lift up, and 2 people can move 10,000 pounds worth of weight really easily and move them into position. What the wild walls do is they allow you to get reflections from different sides. So if you need to move a wing wall, wild wall somewhere, because imagine a car windscreen, different angles, you might want to be shooting from a certain angle. So that just allows you to kind of get those reflections and make it actually look like you're in the space that you're meant to be.
The potential is, this is the forefront of the technology. I mean, I had been so busy shooting television shows and features, and when I got invited to step into this virtual production world, I took it wholeheartedly.
You can imagine some cinematographers being a little bit resistant to come into an environment like this and maybe wanting to film in more natural settings. Is that true, or is the industry changing?
It's the education of it. It's slowly letting them get their hands on it and experiment with it, because a lot of shows may not be able to afford it, or they just don't feel they have the time to come out and do it.
For now, the biggest budget movies will combine filming outdoors and in the studio to create the most realistic settings.
When it first came out, people were trying to shoehorn everything into, let's do it all in the LED volume, whereas you really just want to do the scenes that make sense.
And with tech constantly enhancing the magic of the movies, it's likely scenes filmed like this will only continue to get more believable.
There's no escape, Agent Clara. Give me the device. We can end this now.
Aw, but we just got started.
Amazing developments from Pixmondo. Now, with that report, we come to the end of tonight's bulletin. I'm William Evans. Have a good night, goodbye, and good luck.